you want to know everything there is to know about living, working, playing in and around Redwood City here in beautiful Silicon Valley, stick around to the end. I'm talking all the pros and cons, and you're going to want to hear the last con. I think it's something a lot of people don't talk about, but it's something you really want to know about. To stay up to date on all things Redwood City and beyond, do me a favor quick, hit like, subscribe, and notifications so that you can stay up to date. So whether you're thinking of moving in a few days or a few months, we're getting messages all the time from people that are curious what it's like to live in Redwood City or our neighboring towns. So if that might be you, send us a quick text, an email, give us a call. We're always happy to help out. So let's get into it right now, what it's really like living, working, playing in Redwood City. So first we're going to start with the pros, and there are many of them. And I'm not just saying that as a Redwood City resident, but the list really could go on forever, but I wanted to narrow them down to a few key items that I think really help influence people when they're deciding which town to live in and actually end up picking Redwood City or landing in Redwood City. So number one, to me, of course, the weather. And what you'll find about the Bay Area is we are full of microclimates. You could literally drive 30 minutes and have temperature changes anywhere from 10 to 20 degrees on any given day. A lot of times you'll drive up to San Francisco, and as you're approaching, you'll hit a wall of clouds, of mist. The temperature will drop 10 degrees, and you'll wonder what the heck happened because you're coming from Redwood City, which basically most of the time throughout the year, we are really consistent temperatures. So a lot of times we will start out in the morning with ocean-influenced fog or overcast skies, but normally that burns off by noon every day. In the afternoons, we usually see temperatures anywhere from about 72 to 82 degrees. Of course, there will be some warmer days, but I would say 9 times out of 10, it's bright blue sunshine by 12:30, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Usually we don't see a lot of wind. As you kind of go up the peninsula, there are definitely communities that are a lot more windy, but here in Redwood City, we're kind of sheltered from the wind coming off of the ocean. We've got the hills behind us, which again block a lot of that. So 9 days out of 10, beautiful, crisp, blue skies by the afternoon, just perfect weather almost all the time. We really feel like we live up to our city slogan, which is Redwood City, climate best by government test. And that government test was a long time ago. It's kind of debatable, but I think we all will agree that Redwood City's weather is pretty darn perfect. Again, you could drive, 20 minutes down the peninsula further into Silicon Valley, like San Jose. Could be super hot. Here on the mid-peninsula in Redwood City, it's usually pretty temperate, really nice and manageable all times of year. So it's great. Number two, opportunity and proximity. So what I love about Redwood City, when I talk to my clients, it's a really fantastic home base, because whether you're working in San Francisco, here in Redwood City, down in Silicon Valley, in San Jose, you're in a great central location. What I find is a lot of my clients do change jobs every few years, or maybe in a few years, or maybe they don't know if they're going to be changing jobs. The nice thing about Redwood City is we're the central point. So today you might be working down in Santa Clara, but next year you might be taking a position up in San Mateo, in San Francisco, and you're always going to be in a really great central location. So tons of opportunity, perfect proximity for getting to all the major Silicon Valley tech companies. And it's really easy access because we're right at the crux of both highways 280 and Highway 101. Highway 101 is the major highway corridor that runs from San Francisco all the way to San Jose. And it's kind of, if you think of it, Highway 101 is closest to the bay. Highway 280 is kind of on the other side, closer to the hills, closer to the ocean on the side of the peninsula. And that's a little bit of a more rural kind of a drive. You're a little bit more out in the country, and normally you'll have less traffic there. So it's also nice being in Redwood City because you can pick to get anywhere really by going either Highway 101 or Highway 280. You kind of have your choice. And if one of them has an accident or is backed up, you can just hop on the other route and get to wherever you're going, up or down the peninsula, really super easy. So whether you're just trying to get somewhere for fun or for work, you've got a lot of access here. Number three in pros for living in Redwood City would be wealth building with real estate. And really what I mean by that is single family homes primarily are going to be a very safe bet for growing your wealth. So we always think of, your primary residence, you want to think of it not just as a growing asset because it is a place that you are living, that you're enjoying, so you're going to get some utility out of it as well. But what we know on the peninsula, specifically here in Redwood City, is there's really no other place where there will ever be new construction, new developments of homes built. As you get further down Silicon Valley into San Jose, further areas, and certainly into the East Bay, there is still new development happening. New communities are being built, new houses are going in, and that's always going to be stifling housing prices. However, on the Mid-Peninsula, in this prime location, literally at the crux of San Francisco and San Jose, really in the East Bay, there will never be any more single-family homes here. And of course, that's really what people are after. That's what people want to have, is that single family home with a backyard, with the space. And of course, I have helped clients buy condos and townhomes. Usually that's a stepping stone to get them into a single family home. And I always recommend to people, if you're considering the peninsula, try to get into a single family home almost at any cost, even if you have to get maybe a smaller place now than you might have otherwise wanted to, but get that single family home because the values will continue to rise. Population is increasing. People are always going to want to have their own space, the single family home life. And the only thing that people are building more of right now is actually they're tearing down homes, building multi-unit properties. So there will actually only ever be less single-family homes than there are today. Demand will most likely continue to go up. So I'm very bullish on the single-family home market right here on the peninsula, certainly. So when you think in terms of wealth building, getting into that single-family home, holding it for certainly a good period of time, and you can expect to have a really exciting amount of appreciation down the road when you do go to sell and move on to something locally or out of area. Number 4, when it comes to pros in Redwood City, again, list is long, but I want to give you some the top ones. The proximity to airports is incredible. Again, we're right smack dab in between San Francisco International Airport, San Jose Airport, and actually very close to Oakland International Airport. So depending on the routes and places that you want to go, you can get to either of any of those 3 airports super fast. San Jose, from my home in Redwood City, I can be there in less than 20 minutes. San Francisco, about 20 minutes. And so it's very fast to get to any airport and be anywhere in the world within a matter of hours. So you're right smack dab in between incredible airports, incredible transportation opportunities with tons of direct flights all over the country and the world. So it's really an incredible location. Number 5, which might surprise people, being that we're in a real metropolitan area, it's pretty high density here on the peninsula, but really outdoor activities. Redwood City is fairly unique in that we have a lot of open space and a lot of access to open space. We have fantastic parks all over the city, but particularly kind of the back door of Redwood City is really close to open space preserves, tons of hiking trails, horseback riding, bicycle, running, lots and lots of outdoor activities. But also as we get closer to the bay, you've got the Bay Trail. You could be, near the water, you could be in the mountains, all within, 5 or 10 minutes from wherever you are. Tons and tons of outdoor activities right here in our back door. And of course, if you want to go a little bit further, you're just, 30 minutes or so from Half Moon Bay. Getting to the ocean, you could be surfing in just a matter of minutes as well. Now we're going to move on to the cons. Again, thinking about all the benefits of living in Redwood City, which there are so many, I had to really scratch my head thinking about the cons, but there are a few key ones that I think you should really be aware of. Number 1, I would say, is public transit. So being in the Bay Area, it's a pretty large, kind of dense, spread out area. We do have the Caltrain, which it kind of runs up and down the peninsula, all the way from San Francisco through San Jose and beyond. But if you think of that like a spine, it's running right up and down the corridor, but it's really getting to Caltrain, which can be a challenge. So if you're thinking that you're just going to walk places or get around, it's really could be very tough. Redwood City is a very kind of suburban location. It's very spread out. Certainly, if you are thinking of single family homes, they're going to be a little bit further away from those transit locations, specifically Caltrain. Certainly, you could be there within a matter of minutes. You could ride your bike there, park the bike, jump on transit. But I will say it's a very suburban kind of community. You are not in the city here, even though we're very close and connected to San Francisco and San Jose. You're going to be driving most places, but there is definitely walkable areas. But to get to major things or activities that you want to do, you're probably going to be driving. The next thing would be nightlife. So this is the truth for a lot of the peninsula. Again, if you think of us really as the suburbs for the major cities of San Francisco, San Jose, you could imagine that nightlife isn't too terribly exciting here in Redwood City or downtown Redwood City. There definitely are, bars and restaurants that are open later into the evening, a few kind of nightclub style restaurants that kind of turn over and become sort of nightclub atmosphere at certain times, and certainly a few bars. Not a ton of activity. There's not a lot of nightlife going on here. I would say if that's something that interests you, then probably you're going to jump on Caltrain and get dumped off at downtown San Francisco for a fun night out or an evening, or do the same, get to San Jose, and then maybe take an Uber back or take the Caltrain back to get home. But not a lot of really super exciting nightlife happening in Redwood City. It's definitely a bit more quiet and relaxed, and definitely that suburban kind of feel. Number three in the cons of living in Redwood City that I would say most people think of, but might actually not be completely true, is a lot of people are a bit concerned about maybe the public schools. And the reason why is if you look online, many of the public schools in Redwood City aren't as highly rated as some of our neighbors in places like Menlo Park or San Carlos, Belmont. But what you'll find if you ask anybody that's sent their kids to public schools here recently in Redwood City is that the Redwood City schools are actually fantastic. They have excellent tracks depending on, the direction that your child is going. They're actually very highly rated and people really tend to do quite well. And they have great outcomes with really high number of kids that are actually attending major and impressive universities if that's the track that they're looking to do. Also, what some parents will do, I'll find some of my clients will decide to opt for private schools, which we have great access to private schools here, right here in Redwood City and neighboring Atherton or Menlo Park or other places on the peninsula. And so what you'll find is a lot of times you're spending a little bit less for the housing that you're buying in Redwood City compared to a San Carlos or Menlo Park right now. So you'll save a little bit on the house and then use that to maybe send the kids to private school. But again, I would say it's probably 50-50 in terms of clients that I see sending kids to private school versus public. So it really depends what you're looking for. I would say don't let that discourage you. Probably is a reason why some people will choose some neighboring cities, but that tells me there's a lot of value and a lot of room for appreciation here in Redwood City once people discover the schools are actually pretty darn good. The other thing you should know, number 4, I would say, is really just the housing density. So you might not realize Redwood City is actually the county seat of the county of San Mateo. So Redwood City is the biggest city in this whole county of San Mateo, which San Mateo County is large. It goes from the bay all the way out to the coast on the ocean, all the way up to San Francisco County. So it's a very, very large, very geographically diverse area. But Redwood City is really one of the densest cities in the entire peninsula. It's one of the only cities that's been very progressive in terms of allowing kind of mid-rise buildings to be built. They're really trying to revitalize and energize downtown and bring kind of like a mid-peninsula city right here at this perfect position between San Francisco and San Jose. They've really kind of strategically been focused on developing Redwood City as such. So what you'll see is there are kind of mid-rise buildings downtown Redwood City. So a lot of apartments and a few condominiums, but really primarily what they are is rental stock housing. So a lot of rental units downtown Redwood City. Again, not any single family homes that are being built. So it's all rental housing. So a bit denser, which means a little bit of traffic in Redwood City. I would say not much worse than anywhere else on the peninsula. And certainly, again, you're kind of at a strategic location in terms of commuting up or down. So I really hope that that was helpful for you in terms of understanding some of the pros and cons of Redwood City. Of course, there are other things that might be important to you. So all you need to do is send us a text message, an email, maybe schedule a Zoom call with us so we can discuss what's important for you in living in Redwood City or the surrounding communities. We serve all the surrounding communities. So places like Belmont, San Carlos, Redwood City, Menlo Park, Atherton, Woodside, all of our mid-peninsula communities, which are all unique. We know, we love, we interact with all the time. We would love to help you. So again, if this was helpful for you, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification button, and we'll see you on the next one.